Kay, can I ask you a question? Yeah. What does the sun setting or even rising symbolize to you?
I love that question.
Far as we've come on our own, waking up with all the armor on, still resolve can't find another way, that the sun will set and bring another day.
Let's talk a little bit about an analogy I love to use with my students is how life is like a roller coaster ride. And sometimes when you're on a ride and you're going down, you can't ever feel it going back up, or you don't feel like the ride's ever going to go back up again. So can you guys talk about where you feel like you're at in the roller coaster ride of life right now? Do you feel like you're on an up, a down, an unknown? Share a little bit with us about the ride of life.
I think it's a constant battle for balance every day, right? Like the morning can start terrible and you can have the best second half of the day. And I think it's just about trying to keep a positive outlook and just adapt as things kind of come,
Right now, I feel like we're like on the click, 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 right? And we have this anticipation coming for the drop, or we're in preparation for the drop, whereas, it's scary right now. Yeah, it's scary right now because we have an idea and we have a goal and we have, everything kind of mapped out in our head, but we're just not there yet.
I feel like it's in part to the supports you've put in place in life with each other and for yourselves to be able to embrace that ride and recognize that when a down does come, if it comes, that you'll be prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah.
You're the only thing you can guarantee is that change is coming.
At least in my own experience, I feel like everything I've ever set out to do, the process of literally doing the things always seemed filled with anxiety or stress or whatever else. And then as I look back, that was the time you should have been, hyped and enjoying it and being present and stuff like that. Whereas, it's a ride. So try to find the moments to enjoy it.
Even like with our view now, right? We have a beautiful view. It's great to enjoy the view, right? But bringing all the stuff up here, the prep, all the journey, that was the fun part, right? And then you gotta be willing to kind of struggle a little bit and have instant gratification put on hold and just enjoy the view, but love the journey.
Hi, I'm Kayy Finn, and welcome to Sundayzsunset. I have my friends here with me. I'm going to have them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Shannon.
My name is Ryan. How are you?
Thank you for being here. Can you each share something to celebrate in your lives right now, either personally or professionally?
Today is our 5-year wedding anniversary.
Woohoo!
We've been together 10 years and have beautiful kids and just bought a beautiful house a few years back, and lots of, the shop is bumping and lots of really good forward momentum.
I feel like I need to bring up something else that you just completed that is worth celebrating. Can we give a little teaser?
Yeah, sure. I just finished my first novel. It's in the rough sketch part of the production.
It's way more than a rough sketch.
But yeah, I just finished my first novel, first of many, hopefully. I think that's the next path I want my life to go down. So creatively, of course,
I had to bring it up. Before the universe brought you guys together, what were some challenges or difficulties that you were facing in your lives?
So you know me. So, you know, we grew up together. So you got to see me in a place in my life where I was, you know, full on teenage angst and rage and ready to like set the world on fire, you know, but also struggled with some things in my family, you know, alcoholism, drug addiction. That's all part of my story. I think for me, the biggest challenge I faced back then was learning to truly love myself, you know, and treat myself the way that I think now I deserve to be treated. In turn, that meant that I had to do some cleanup, you know. So my journey is that I got sober. That is, I would say, the pinnacle for me and, you know, my life's path.
What are some things that you put into place for meeting Ryan for yourself to overcome those difficulties?
So without kind of going into the whole, you know, 12-step program kind of thing, I think for myself, I had to find some sort of spirituality or some kind of faith in something that wasn't myself. Having a connection to some sort of power that's clearly out there, kind of behind the scenes, guiding you and like shaping your way. Having a connection to that is super important. And for me, that happened through writing, through art, through support networks, you know, like great friends and hanging out with like-minded people and kind of diving into, you know, your own spirituality a little bit more. I did a lot of praying. I tried to practice meditation as best as I could, even though I struggle with that. You know, it's hard to kind of sit with yourself. But I think through creating, through painting, through writing, through all the things that we do together, those are all active meditations. Those are all things that center you and like quiet everything else outside and kind of help get you through, you know?
That's like probably the most important thing to take away is like, you know, kind of when things are kind of going a little bit crazy, just resort back to what you know, and you know it works, and you know if I just, doesn't matter what I sit and paint, right? If I just sit down and paint, literally take paint and just mush it around, you're painting, right? And then if you do that for 3 hours, I guarantee you, you're not thinking about what was going wrong beforehand. And now maybe you have a painting that someone wants to buy, you know?
Yeah.
So Ryan, what challenges or difficult times did you face prior to meeting Shannon?
Oh boy, right? So I had a historic troubled youth, right? And not so much a bad kid, just kind of aggravated and, you know, just pissed off all the time, you know, at a time where looking back now, like it was the best time ever, right? Like you had no responsibility, you don't have to cover anything, right? Like you can just live free, right? But I was pissed. I was living in a very sketchy house with no heat and no hot water. Through the winter, I had to board my windows shut with blankets and pillows to like try and keep warm. You know, it was pretty crazy. And eating out of a dumpster, like all types of messed up things where I had a guy, one of my dad's friends actually, call me and offer to give me a chance to fix my life. He told me, you don't have to cover your tattoos. I'm going to give you a job. You have to cut. I had dreads like down to my butt at the time. So he said, you got to cut your dreads. It was in a medical office. I ended up like assisting in surgery, in like oral surgery. And a couple years later, I opened Salvation, which was, you know, aptly named, and saved my life. And a few years later, Shannon came in to apprentice, right?
Yeah.
It's not that many years later. How long later was it?
It was only a few years later.
Yeah.
But I think what's important about that time in your life is that you were in a dark place and it didn't seem like there was any way forward or out, and then somebody gave you a chance.
Oh, the universe will give you
What you
what
need.
you need.
Do you need testing 1, 2, 3, or we're good?
I got it, yeah, we're
Okay.
That was my testing one.
Yeah.
That was perfect. Can we talk a little bit about some of those darker days that you faced? And in particular, do you think that you had a wake-up call or an aha moment of it was time to make a change for yourself, or did things kind of click and happen over time for you?
That's a full question. I think I try to have an aha moment every day, right? Like, it doesn't start every day at the beginning of the day. Sometimes it could be midday. Sometimes you could be having a horrible day and have an aha moment, and it just kind of rotates your perspective. I try to think about it like putting on like colored glasses to see the same things through a different lens or a different kind of perspective is really big, you know. When things are tough and messed up and dark and ominous and all of that, you kind of have to sit with yourself inside and figure out a solution from internal, right? Because a lot of the things usually are internal. I never expected to make it to 25. We were living very fast and very aggressive and very kind of fucked up way of life, and didn't expect to make it that far. So when I woke up at 25 on my birthday with a home, with a baby on the way, wasn't a dad yet, baby on the way, it just, it's no longer about you, right? And I think when you can kind of take yourself out of the equation and look at things from a neutral kind of perspective again, you're able to move forwards in a much more progressive way.
I can see the hope that you give to Shannon and your daughters every day, and it really is, I feel, one of your superpowers.
You have to have the conviction in your head and believe that it can work out. And it's very easy to say that sitting here in this environment 20 years into the process of trying to fix my life, right? It's easy to sit and say, like, be strong and keep going, but like, you know, the more things that come to challenge you, the more opportunity you have to overcome things. Being able to get through the fight and at the end of the fight look back and be like, I'm still here.
How old were you when you realized that you wanted to make a change for yourself, and that what were you feeling or going through at that point that AA even came into the picture?
I was 23 and I was, you know, I suffered with depression like my whole life and pondered like the act of suicide and all that type of stuff. But I think, you know, I was never, I don't mean to say it like this, but like brave enough to go through with it. But when I was 23 and I was really in like my darkest time, I wanted to go through with it. I had a plan. I had a whole, you know, way of going about doing it. All I can say for that was divine intervention. A few strange things had happened in the 4-day span where I was in like kind of like a, you know, deep dark hole, just kind of plotting my end. And a few things happened that kind of like shed a little bit of light and kind of like glimmer on the inside that made me kind of give it one more day. Like, let's just wait one more day. Let's just wait one more day. And then, strangely enough, I had saw somebody who I hadn't seen in many, many years. He comes in, he sits down. He's not even there for a tattoo. He like knew somebody else who worked at the shop. And I like go over and I'm like, hey, can I help you? Do you want to get tattooed? And he like looks up at me and he's like, Shannon? And I was like, holy shit. Like, we go into how are you, this, that, the other thing. And out of nowhere, he just starts going, I'm 60 days sober. My life has changed so much. I'm like fighting my demons, this, that, the other thing. He just tells me his whole life story right then and there. And all I could do was cry, right? Like I couldn't even process. I was just crying. And he looked at me, He looked at me and he was like, are you struggling with something? And I was like, I don't know, you know? So he told me, you know what? Leave here, call your father, because my father is sober 20 some odd years at that point. And he said, call your dad, let him know you're going through something and he'll know what to do. It was just something about him that was like a ray of light around him that I did not have, you know? Hope, I don't know. It was something that I didn't have. Couldn't even really understand. But so I listened to him and I called my dad, thinking that my dad was either not going to answer or berate me or, you know, give me the whole spiel. But instead, my dad picked up the phone. He was like, hey, I'm having friends over for dinner. Come on by. So I go to his house. Like I wasn't even in control anymore. I was just like on autopilot. Drove to his house, sat at this dinner. They're all full of life, happy, chatting it up, like complete polar opposite of like what I was feeling for the last couple years. And go outside, smoke a cigarette. One of the women came out and she just starts telling me about like how in the beginning of her sobriety journey, all these weird things started happening for her. Weird signs, weird things that she at the time called God shots. And just for telling me these random things made me think about like the weird little things that had happened to me in those moments that like I was in my darkest day that kind of gave me like a little bit of hope. Give it one more day, right? So I just opened up to her. I told her everything. I told her my plan. I told her what's going on. I told her how bad it's been and all this stuff. Long story short, she went to a fantastic rehab and she recommended that I go there because she wanted like the most success for me. So yeah, went to rehab, did 40 days in rehab. I went full force into the whole AA meeting thing. I did my 90 and 90. I took it seriously because if I didn't, it was my life on the line.
It sounds like it is really meaningful to have somebody show you that there's a way through the darkness when you're just, that's all you can see, right? Like you've run out of your light and you're to the point where you feel like life might not even be worth living anymore. And then other people come along and show you the way through their stories and what they've been through. And then it sounds like from you going through that, you now show other people the light.
It's kind of like being handed a torch. And then like when your time has come, you have to pass it to the next one, you know?
Shannon, you and I have known each other since we were just little babies, and I have been so lucky to watch you grow and be where you now are today, and it's so amazing. And I just want you to share a little bit about how the universe brought you and Ryan together, and if you can both share a little bit about that path of the universe taking you into each other's lives and bringing you to where you are now.
Don't do that. Don't make that face. Stop it. There were many times where, you know, our paths should have crossed or could have crossed. And, you know, we knew growing up, we knew a lot of the same people. We lived a town away from each other.
Like
There
2
were-
miles away from each other.
and the two towns did mingle, growing up. But we never met. But had a lot of people who, like me growing up as a teenager, and I had started tattooing when I was 10. So not professionally, but, I had done tattoos. It's part of the family business. So if I ever mentioned that to anyone at any age, 13, 14, 16, 17, everyone would say, do you know Ryan Gatt? And I,
She'd be like, fuck that guy.
kind of. I would be like, yeah, I know him, but
Awesome.
I was at a pretty rough stage in my life prior to meeting him. So I knew that if I went before, getting my act together, getting sober, really focusing on my life and all of that, that I would have ruined it. I would have ruined that opportunity big time. But I did reach out to him on multiple occasions on Facebook.
She told me she's coming for an interview like 4 different times.
Yeah.
Over multiple
yeah.
years, and then would just not show up.
I just wouldn't show up. So fast forward, I got my stuff together. I went to rehab. I did the whole thing. I took a break from tattooing for quite some time because I thought, I just needed to focus on me and see where life wanted to take me. But I ended up reaching out to him all on my own. Like always, he said, sure, come by this day, this time, see you there. I was so nervous because I knew I blew him off so many times that I was like, how is he gonna take me seriously? So at the time, I also had a friend who grew up with Ryan. So when I told her I was gonna go do this thing, she was like, oh my God, I know him. She was like, I'll come with you. And he's so cool, you're gonna love him. He's the coolest person in the world. Don't be nervous, all this stuff. So she came with me, and thank God she came with me because I wouldn't have gotten out of my car. I was in the parking lot, and I literally said to her.
She came in first.
She came in first.
She came in the shop, and she was like, Shannon's here, but she won't get out of the car. And we were like, go get her out of the car. What are you talking about?
I was just so nervous. I guess, the universe is funny because I just had this feeling. I had this feeling many years before when I would hear his name, when I, saw his stuff on Instagram or Facebook. I just had this weird feeling that my life is going to change when this person comes into it. And it was love at first sight. No, it was. It was for me, but it couldn't be, right? Because I was in a relationship. He was in a relationship. There were clear boundaries there. This is day one I'm talking about, but it was. I was coming into this to better my career. He was coming into this to better my career and help me out. But just right off the get-go, we met each other, we got along. He was super cool, like your friend said. And he was super inspiring. I was just immediately inspired by him. And we got to work. I was his apprentice. And we spent literally every day together just kind of learning art and life.
It's pretty crazy to see how we kind of just let the world drive a little bit and kind of gave in. And now we're sitting here doing this interview.
Yeah.
Our kids upstairs playing.
Yeah.
Look where we're sitting. It's it's pretty crazy.
He really is the builder of my dreams, and I think vice versa, right? Because I be building stuff too.
And then we do some silly shit in between.
I am so excited to see all of the amazing things that you guys do with this gorgeous location, and I know that you're going to bring so much magic to life here. I think that it's going to be amazing that you celebrate all different aspects of life. And with that being said, can you guys touch a little bit on the history of this location and what it stood as before it came into your life?
I think what made the opportunity to buy this house doable for us was because it was a funeral home prior to, because I think
everyone was scared. No one wanted to buy it.
That freaks everybody out.
But
and
we were just hyped.
That made us, that was our selling point. People came here to say goodbye to their loved ones. And with that, their souls get to cross over with all of that, with warmth, with light, with love. So it's not a place that feels dark and dreary and all the things that you think of when it comes to like death, right? It feels very much alive and full of love.
I can definitely say the energy is amazing. It's not something that is spooky, and I love that that's what you plan to lean into. But like you said, I think that there's a special feeling about the souls that have been here and that people got to celebrate life here. You're going to keep doing that.
I think duality has always been like a big thing for us, and it's like, you can't have and live a life without being aware of death, right? So it's like to be in a place that has celebrated so many people for over 100 years, it just makes you stay aware of the balance of everyday life and how important it is.
How delicate life is.
Yeah. So we're
There's
here.
only a short period of time that we've all been granted, so like,
We're here to send it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking
Like,
send it.
Yeah,
live it
fucking
to the
send it, yeah.
fullest.
And we'll send it in a spooky way.
I have a lot of faith in the future of this place and the future of our family. And there's my baby
Speaking
coming
of
down the
which-
stairs.
Yeah, let's see how long it takes her to get down the stairs.
Yeah.
You need a new diaper?
I was in church last night and the priest was talking about tattoos in his homily. And it was so ironic that we were coming here today to do this. But he talked about getting tattoos at different phases of life that serve as reminders of that chapter. And it just confirmed exactly what we're going to be tattooing today. Of like, this is such a reminder of this chapter of my life. Like, learning to love myself.
So it's funny that, you're saying that because I think about, my personal tattoos that I have. And the one that is the simplest that I did myself says, "You are loved." And I got that. I did that tattoo on myself because, it seems kind of stupid, right? If you think about like, who needs a reminder of that? Like, you're loved. But I needed a reminder of that because, you go through things in life and you forget that, like, you're worthy of this or whatever it is that you're trying to do or accomplish. So I like using tattoos as reminders. I feel like it's there with you forever. You can always look down on it.
I've seen you do tattoos on people, I'm sure, for loss and things like that, but also on top of scars. And I can only imagine what that's like, hearing those stories as you cover up women's breasts from breast cancer and areas like that.
You know what I found? And I mean, goes for a lot of people, but like, especially women with the breast cancer scars, those women are tough as nails. Like, it doesn't seem to have fazed them in the slightest. And I feel like, to me, areas of body, private areas of body are just body parts at the end of the day. But, people sometimes get uncomfortable, like, exposing themselves like that or being nude in here, and it's totally understandable. Those women come in here and they take their shirt off and they, like, rock it, because it's a battle wound and they're proud of it and they fucking survive. Excuse my language.
I think that it's like wounded warriors are just so strong, right? Like, I've not been in that scenario, but I've had, I was born with a tethered spinal cord and I had spinal surgery at 14. And so my body's just been through a lot of different phases of struggling. And I feel like when you can take ownership of your own body and realize that, sometimes it controls you, but then you're in control of this vessel that we're in, right? So like, to be able to choose the art that you put on top of your body versus scars that landed there for other reasons, it's empowering.
Hell yeah. I agree 100%. I feel like when I've tattooed people with really bad scar stories or surviving cancer, stuff like that, that's kind of what they bring to the story, you know, is that they're appreciating every moment that they have because at a time they were losing it, you know? And we only live once, you know? I think so.
I totally agree. I think, I could bring it back to the sun rising and sun setting, right? That there are some days that you really have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm here today. I've made it through so much. And then when your body has been through phases of sickness or illness, when you wake up and you feel good physically and you realize, wow, I have the ability to move my body today. Like it's not, I have to go to the gym. It's, I get to go to the gym today.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really powerful shift of perspective.
Seeing what or hearing what you've been through and seeing where you now are today, what would you say to somebody who doesn't know if they're going to make it to tomorrow and doesn't know if they're going to make it to that certain age? What wisdom would you or hope would you try to impart onto them during their difficult times?
Don't underestimate baby steps. Baby steps are huge. If you woke up today and you're having a terrible day, make your fucking bed. Make a cup of tea. Make a cup of coffee, right? Like, try and find peace in the noise and try and find a passion to keep your kind of fire going. The more baby steps you can add up as successful in your head, the easier it is to weigh towards that side of the scale subconsciously when you need to, right? Like now, 15, 20 years into giving a shit about myself and giving a shit about what I'm gonna leave for my children, the interactions that I have with people that I meet, strangers. Strangers are important as hell. Talk with strangers, right? Go meet people, get out, break your habits, break the cycles. Take your kind of darkness and use it to be aggressive in your movement towards light, right? So you're kind of using the fuel that tortured you. Just repurpose it, right? Repurpose it and just keep fucking going. Most importantly, if nobody told you today, you know, like, you're loved. I love you. You know, you should love you. It's a crazy thing to be conscious, right? Like, it's a crazy thing to sit here and like have this beautiful, look at this, right? That's nuts.
It is beautiful.
And that's just happening. And it's always, that's the thing with time, right? Like, it's always just going, whether you want to participate or not, right? So no choice is still a choice, right? So if it's going to be moving and it could be hard anyway, then you might as well choose your hard.
At least for myself, like those dark times that I went through, I wouldn't be who I was today without that. Like, whatever light I think I might bring to the future wouldn't exist without those struggles, without, you know, that person that I was, you know, and it wasn't always pretty, you know. So I think acceptance is the biggest thing. If you can accept the parts about your life or about yourself that you might not be happy with where you're at right now, accept them and then learn to conquer them and move forward. Like you said, like, just keep moving, you know, because the sun is going to set no matter what. So, you know, darkness is coming. So keep it moving and then the sun will come back up. I don't know if that made any sense.
That was nice. That was a good,
you
that was
cut
a good
that
one.
part out.
No, that was the highlight. That was the highlight.
That's really good. It was just so beautiful hearing so much about the journey and how you've overcome things and leaning on each other through it all.
Just
I
keep
can't
swinging.
wait to see what happens from here.
I don't know
You know?
if we can actually say that. Can we say that?
Are we allowed to say that?
What'd you say?
Is that
Just keep
trademark?
swimming?
Keep swimming.
I don't think that's a trademark. I think we're okay.
Okay, can I ask you a question? What does the sun setting or even rising symbolize to you? Because I know obviously with Strawberryzskies and this Sundayzsunsets, a lot of your artwork revolves around, you know, the sun and the sunset or the sunrise. So what does that actually mean for you?
I love that question, and I think that you have seen me through some of my really dark days, and like you guys both touched upon the fact that we need to lean on community and lean on meditation and painting and things like that, but remembering that the light will come again, and that no matter the day, the sun sets, and hopefully we get to see another day. But sometimes you don't, right? So
It's a blessing to wake up every day,
yeah,
not waste it.
recognizing that some people didn't have the privilege to continue on life as long as they thought they were going to, and that life doesn't always go according to plan. So yes, the sun always sets, and it's always going to continue to set if we're here or not. So not to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So really finding the beauty in every day. And when you can't see that beauty for yourself, look to those that you love and care about to help you find that beauty.